So originally I was going to do this video on Transformers 6, what with this being like the 3-year anniversary of it, but I couldn't find some of the specific images I wanted from the writer's room that were leaked that I wanted to use in this video, and what I found instead was way more interesting than anything I planned, and it was in relation to the cancelled World War II Transformers movie titled Operation Skyfire. We first saw images of this going back a couple of months ago, and it's the one you can see on screen now, but there was 5 other ones I found on the Facebook page of the artist JP Taggart. Now, I'm going to go through each of these and talk about them because they have me incredibly excited and they're very fascinating and give us a bit of a look, and we can see how the writer's room developed from looking at these. So that's what this video is going to be. I still do a Transformers 6 video later on if I can, but since I have the material here, we're going to do this video first. So obviously, first of all, I presume most, if not all of you, have seen the title image and then 3 other images of the main plane Autobot. I think he's an Autobot, who we presume is Skyfire, the title or character of the movie. We see him in a bunch of different forms, found in a swamp or something by humans, so it looks like maybe he got into a scuffle with some Decepticons, crashed in a river or a swamp or something, and was found by the military, and that kind of kickstarts the movie. But then later on, one of the most interesting ones that got everyone talking was the one of the Nazis, and in the background there's a plane. The plane has the head of Megatron. But how can this be if Megatron is frozen in ice and never turned into a human plane? Well, we might finally have the answer to that question in these images. I'm going to go through them in the order I have seen them here, and then we'll just see where we go from there. But bear in mind, keep that character in mind for later on. So the first image we have is here in what looks like almost like a bar or a garage of some sort. That's definitely Bumblebee with, I don't know who she is, but the first thing that comes to mind is the comics they did for Bumblebee, where they said Bumblebee was involved in the Cold War and stuff. She reminds me of the character they had portrayed on that. She's definitely some sort of mechanic or soldier of some sort. Bumblebee is incredibly different, especially from like the World War II image we saw in the last night. Bumblebee here, I mean, I presume it's Bumblebee because like who else would it be? The eyes and the mouthpiece are the same, so I can see that it's Bumblebee. He even kind of has the side of the head looks similar. What's very interesting though is that this image you can tell was a huge inspiration for the Bumblebee movie. Because look at Bumblebee's more covered design. He's bulkier, he's smaller, and a female protagonist. So the fact that Bumblebee's interacting with a woman here definitely seems like this idea was what was the inspiration for the Bumblebee movie. I don't think there's anything else of particular interest in this image. It's just nice to be able to look at it and know that this was going to get made into a movie. But unfortunately it didn't happen. There's nothing of interest. The one thing I don't like about Bumblebee's design is how like some of the parts are jutting out like pipes and stuff, while the rest of them is more contained. I get it. It's definitely what they were going with the Bumblebee design, but still, I'm kind of mixed on it. The woman though does look absolutely badass, and it kind of looks like, I know it's not a corset, but it kind of looks like one. You know what I mean? Whatever she's wearing anyway. She looks like she would have been a soldier of some kind, or someone strong and powerful anyway. Don't know if she would have necessarily been the main character. Maybe. Next image is even more interesting. We have a town under attack, and what's of particular interest here is this blue character is, okay, so first of all, this, I'm going to say Decepticon, but it looks like an Autobot. This Transformer, anyway, is attacking a bunch of soldiers, throwing them around the place. Again, there's a woman in the bottom right corner that's Looks like she's shooting at the soldiers. Okay, so I'm guessing this is an Autobot attacking Nazis. Just based on the fact that this woman is also shooting at these soldiers. The first thing that came to mind when I saw this Autobot is the comic version of Chromia or Alita one of them anyway. It definitely looks like that. I mean, we don't really have anything to go on, so I can't really say for definite who this is, but it looks like it could have been a female Autobot. Just the face design. Again, very hard to tell, especially since this is like really early imagery. This character might not have even made it into the final film if they made the film. I don't even know how far into the film's development they got. If they were even going to make the film at all. Maybe they scrapped it and the whole World War II thing was used in The Last Night instead. I don't know, but that's what it kind of looks like to me here. Because there are soldiers like hanging on to the top of them, but it looks more like they're fighting for their lives than anything. So I'm going to assume those are Nazis getting attacked by Chromia or Alita ones. So we know Skyfire and this blue Autobot and Bumblebee were going to be the main characters. Unless, you know, these were all different drafts or whatever for the script, which is quite possible as well. The next one I'm going to go through here is this one of a plane. I can't tell if this is Skyfire transformed or if this is just a normal plane, but there is a human in it. I think it's a female again, and she's fighting off against a bunch of blue Decepticons, I think. I don't know what they are, that are trying to kill and get into the plane. They remind me of like smaller versions of that blue Transformer I was just pointing out there, so I can't really tell. There's a lot of them in the background as well, so in total I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of these bots. No idea what they are. Minicons perhaps. And they look about the same size as a human, so they're definitely not like average sized Decepticons, so I'm gonna guess they were just Minicons or something like that. There isn't anything in particular worth pointing out about this. I have two guesses about this image actually. This is either in the very beginning of the movie or at the end of the movie. I say the beginning because if the plane is Skyfire, it explains how he crashed in the swamp and was later found by the soldiers. But I don't really know. It could be the end as well. Maybe they found an artifact and now these Decepticons are in pursuit, trying to get it back or something. I'm not really sure. Okay, so the next image I want to go on to is, in my opinion, the most exciting one of the bunch, and helps explain the identity of that weird plane Decepticon I showed earlier. Just look at this. Look at how awesome this is. This would have been a phenomenal action sequence if we could have seen this. It's on a train track, obviously. There's Bumblebee. Again, we can tell it's Bumblebee by the head design. And just judging by the shape of design, I'm guessing it's Bumblebee because it's very similar to the Bumblebee movie design. So they took inspiration from this. The same woman from earlier is back. It looks like she's trying to grab onto a rope or something that's above Bumblebee. He's trying to... I originally thought he was trying to catch her, but it looks like he's boosting her up, and he fell. Now, the Decepticon is what the real juicy part is. Look at the head. It's the same Megatron head we saw earlier, and judging by the fact that it's a train and that other one was a plane, this has to be Astrotrain. I wonder, because I mean the head design could have just been reused, but the fact that he clearly turns into a train, and it's the same character who was, you know, the plane transport earlier, so I'm guessing this was the movie version of Astrotrain, which is really cool. Astrotrain is the main villain. I mean, the hands are similar to Megatron, so unless they were trying to do a weird thing where Megatron was unfrozen or something, but I doubt it. I'm pretty confident that's Astrotrain. This would have been at the end of the movie as well, obviously They probably have an artifact or something. We have no clue what the plot of the movie is, by the way, so... And considering it didn't seem to make it beyond developmental stages, who even knows if there was a general plot written or if these are just brainstormed ideas. But this makes me really sad we never got to see this movie, because this is just awesome. I mean, imagine watching this sequence on the big screen, a train transforming at high speed, ripping other trains apart in an attempt to get to Bumblebee. I mean, it devastates me this never got made, that this movie got scrapped or something. And I just noticed he has like spikes under his chin as well, where the front of the train is. So it is kind of similar to Megatron's jet mode, I suppose, but I assume they're just reusing designs, because that's what they've always done. Even though I said that's the most interesting one there is another one. I'm actually curious though, I just got sidetracked there when I was looking at Bumblebee. What the hell is he supposed to transform into? Because it's not the same robot, it's not the same vehicle mode we saw in the last night's World War II scene, because the parts are completely different. He's more rounder. I mean, maybe he was meant to turn into a Jeep of some sort, I guess. That's the only possibility I could think of. I don't know. I just wanted to throw that out there. Now moving on to this is one of the last images here. This one is really interesting as well, really peculiar. So let's look what we have here. We have a submarine. It's definitely we can tell now for 100% that's Bumblebee on it. We have that woman again, and what looks like a guy who's a photographer or something. They're on a submarine and they're approaching an island. And obviously the striking thing in this is the giant skull, which I thought was made of stone previously until I zoomed in and saw it's made of metal. Obviously, apart from King Kong, there's a lot of things that this brings to mind. The fact that it's made of metal is interesting. It kind of reminds me of a Cybertronian pod when they come to Earth and they smash as meteors and they unfold, but that is way bigger than any Transformer pod we've seen in any of the previous 6 movies. And, I mean, unless it's meant to be a Titan, but I doubt they were bringing in the ideas of Titans into these movies. So, one other thing comes to mind. Beast Wars. This could have been our first connection to a Beast Wars movie, because the Beast Wars idea isn't new. It's not something they thought of after Bumblebee released. Since the writer's room, they were throwing on the ideas of at least potentially making 1 or 2 Beast Wars movies. So that idea has been circling around for 5 years now. It looks to me like perhaps the World War II movie was going to get involved in some way and link to a Beast Wars movie, perhaps? I don't know why. I don't know how a Beast Transformer would connect with the likes of Skyfire and Astrotrain, but it's definitely an interesting cast. Now, who could be on the island? Is it a group of maximals or is it one? Because if it's a group of maximals, it could be a case like Age of Extinction, where the Autobots in this movie are outmatched. There's way more Decepticons and Nazis, and maybe they need reinforcements, because we know of 3 Autobots against at least like 12 Decepticons, so that is worth pointing out. If it's just one Maximal, it's probably Optimus Primal. Remember, there was concept art in the last night of Optimus Primal, and there was also the Snake Transformer, but Optimus Primal was the main one that was going around, and he was massive. Bear in mind, he was absolutely huge. So I'm wondering, like, was the last night supposed to have him... Were they going to have the Maximals in it originally, or were they going to tease it and then show them in this? Because that's what I'm thinking. That's what it looks like here. Optimus Primal was going to be in the last night, or at least maybe he was on like a picture or something in the last night. And then this movie, which was going to be set like 40 years before the last night, it was going to show us Primal. Maybe it was just going to show him crashing on Earth, or maybe they were full on going to explain his origins. I don't really know. I could be even completely wrong. There's no way of telling if this is actually hinting toward the Maximals, but it's a giant skull on an island, so it looks sort of like Beast Wars was going to be set on its own kind of island. So that's what I'm thinking. But if it's all the Maximals, maybe they showed up in the final battle, and maybe the final battle linked to the history of Beast Transformers or something like that. That is quite possible, and maybe that's what they were going for. There's nothing else in this photo that stands out, so they are going toward that giant metal skull, which could be like, maybe the Titans in this movie were the Maximals. Maybe the Maximals were massive Transformers, like the size of Grimlock, and this is just one of the remains or something. Or maybe this is the pod they came to Earth in, because this island does look prehistoric, so I don't know. It's definitely interesting now, seeing how the cinematic universe ties together. I would love to see the Ancient Rome spin-off ideas they had, because then if we could see that, we could see how that connects as well to Beast Wars, to World War II, all the way to The Last Night, and we could really understand the timeline then, even if these movies are never going to get made. But yeah, I just feel lucky that we've got to see this movie, and this was posted back in April. Nobody saw this. I'm the only person who liked and commented on these pictures, so no one on this guy's Facebook anyway has seen these, so I am the first, so who knows. Okay, I finally found the image. Obviously this is cut out, you won't see it, but it took me like 15 minutes of searching. This is the image anyway, this particular bot I want to talk about. Again, looks like Bumblebee, and at first glance I was thinking Bumblebee because obviously the colouring, the general shape, but then looking closer you can tell it's not Bumblebee. This Autobot, I'm guessing it's an Autobot because he has blue eyes. He's carrying a huge rifle. He's got a bunch of weapons on his arms. Obviously the chest and the arms are very Bumblebee inspired, but look at the head, it's a completely different robot. I have no idea who this is. This is unlike any other Transformer I'd seen in the previous movies or in any of the artwork. I mean, the head does look very G1-esque, but I am thinking, what if this was the Autobot we saw in The Last Night? I can't remember his name now, but the tank dude. Bulldog. Maybe this is Bulldog, but I think this one transforms into tank. Maybe it's Bulldog. There's this other image here with this bot, and he's destroying things. So, is he an Autobot? Because he has blue eyes, but he's blowing stuff up here, and it could be Nazis, but we have a closer look at him here. Those are definitely tank treads, so this guy does turn into a tank. This is quite possibly Bulldog in World War II. Just like how maybe Skyfire is actually the old jet guy we saw in The Last Night at Burton's Castle. Perhaps that's who these Transformers are. I mean, because that looks like there's Allied forces being dropped in the background, so I'm gonna guess this is an Autobot helping to take back the Nazis. Maybe this is another member of Bumblebee's brigade, ZB7. Because we have an expanded view of the image here, and it looks like it's just a bunch of Nazis fighting back. There isn't any other Transformers there. I think this could be, I think this happened on D-Day. I think this is when they marched through France, and this guy is there blowing things up. Who really knows? Interesting that Hot Rod isn't in any of these, but hey, I don't know. It's just this guy anyway. Interesting though, like I would like to know what other Decepticons were in the movie, because we have Bumblebee, Skyfire, that blue Autobot, and this guy. 4 Autobots, and potentially the Maximals as well, against Astrotrain? Like, can it really just be Astrotrain? Like, I get it, he's probably really powerful, but is he really strong enough that they need 4 Autobots and a team of Maximals to take them down. There has to be some other threat there, like other Decepticons that are like really powerful. Maybe Astrotrain, maybe Blitzwing was in World War II, because Blitzwing was on Earth. If you think back to Bumblebee, Blitzwing was already on Earth by the time Bumblebee arrives. So maybe Blitzwing was going to be a tank and a plane as well in this. Maybe that's something they were going for, or maybe the Combaticons in their correct form. I don't really know. All I can see are Autobots, and I don't know if there's other images here. By the time I stop recording this, there's probably going to be like 10 other images I find, but so far that seems to be... Never mind, if you think back to the image we saw on Transformers the last night, because there was that one Transformer in it that was on like the thumbnail that no one had any clue who it was. It looked like it could be Skyfire or the main guy, but at the same time we were thinking, oh, maybe it's Bruticus or something, because look at the left arm, you know. It looks like how Bruticus has his arm. But this guy looks really big, and judging by his legs, it's a combiner. It's quite possibly a combiner, so maybe it's a Decepticon combiner, which would be really interesting. I have no clue as to the identity of this. It's not... Yeah, looking at the head, it's definitely not Skyfire, but maybe this was meant to be Blitzwing or something, but he looks like he turns in... He's either a combiner or he turns into... or he's a triple changer of some sorts, but other than that, I can't really tell anything about this. And it's let me just say really quickly, it's super nostalgic looking back on these, because it's so weird. On the build-up to the last night, they made a huge deal out of this World War II stuff. This character, I don't think was in the movie. He might have been shown on one of like the paintings in Edmund's history room or something briefly, but obviously had nothing to do with the movie. It's funny how he had more of a connection to Operation Skyfire than anything else, but there you go. This is Bulldog here now. I'm trying to compare him to the Autobot. And, you know, now that I look at him, I'm not sure if that actually was him we were looking at earlier. Bulldog's legs are tank threads. He doesn't seem to have them on his shoulders. Granted, this is from World War I, but... And he also has the hat thing. I knew he had the hat, but I was like, if he changed alt modes, maybe he wouldn't have it, but I don't know. I don't think that yellow bot earlier was Bulldog now. I don't know. But it's fascinating, because even still, 2 Decepticons against a team of like 6 or 7. Like, why is there so many? Starscream here, obviously. I mean, the Starscream one is interesting because, I mean, Starscream leading the Waffen SS. Who's surprised they lost? Starscream's leadership definitely led to their feet. I remember the big thing people pointed out was that he had his F-22 designs. But you know, that's just for the artwork. Obviously in the movie that would have been different, but still, it's pretty interesting. This movie definitely didn't... This picture did not show up in The Last Night. So I just want to put that out there. I forgot they were going to focus on feudal Japan. That was another thing. Drift inspired the samurais, not the other way around. I am reminded of all like the history pictures we saw in The Last Night. I don't think any of the other of them had anything to do with World War II. I think that was really it. So, to summarize all of this, I know this is a really long video, but it's just fascinating to talk about this movie, because like, I'm upset we're not going to see this movie. I am, but you know, maybe we will. Like, I know they used the scene in The Last Night, so maybe it was never going to happen anyway, but considering it had a title, it seemed way more likely it happening than the Beast Wars movie, or even what the Ancient Rome spin-off. We don't know anything about that. I'm going to do some research into that, by the way. Maybe I can find another video for that. But I do want to point out, you know, there's a fair point going around that the Transformers movies were already pretty complicated, and that going into a World War II movie would confuse the timeline even more and things like this. And I guess it's a relatively fair point, but at the same time, for me, it's really... World War II is the perfect time period to set a Transformers film. because the Decepticons are meant to be military vehicles anyway. Makes perfect sense then. The Autobots are meant to be just like casual cars and stuff. There you go, it's perfect, it makes perfect sense. Where the Decepticons would be different types of tanks and planes, you can have the Combaticons, you know, it would work. But even though Transformers Operation Skyfire was cancelled, presumably, with the rest of the cinematic universe when the writers' room was disbanded, it doesn't mean it's dead in the water. It does mean it's dead in the water in this continuity. In the Michael Bay universe, which consists of all 6 movies, I don't give a fuck what anyone says, Bumblebee is a part of the previous 5 movies. It is a prequel, it is not a reboot. The sequel will probably be a reboot of sorts. You know, like they'll try it like that. But as it currently stands, all 6 movies are part of the same universe. So the next movie will probably be a reboot anyway. Maybe they'll bring this idea back. Because look at the Transformers movies that are getting made. The Last Night was written in the writer's room. Bumblebee was written in the writer's room. Transformers 1, the animated movie that's coming out sometime in the next 2 to 3 years, that was written in the writer's room as well. Granted, it was a prequel to the previous 6 movies, and it's now it's going to be a reboot, so not really the same film, but the concept was there. And the Beast Wars movie that everyone's talking on, that's probably going to get made as well, also from the writer's room. So why not Operation Skyfire? We have, even if you exclude The Last Night and Bumblebee, that's Transformers 1 and Beast, that's the next 2 Transformers movies potentially that are coming from the writer's room. So while the movies we want to see from this artwork are cancelled and we're never going to see, a World War II Transformers movie is still going to happen. I don't think it's going to have connections to Beast Wars, which is upsetting. It's really, because that's one of the cool points that stand out to it. Apart from Astrotrain, the fact that the Maximals had their own island and it was secluded, like maybe they came here in ancient times and the creators were here, you know, there's so many possibilities that could have gone down. And I feel if they do a Beast Wars movie now, it's not going to work, and they're not going to have the experience. Now, maybe it would have been bad then as well, but who really knows? It's so much to think about, and it's tragic. The writer's room, $200,000 per writer, 14 writers in a room for 2 weeks to come up with 10 movies, and only 3 of them are getting made, potentially 4 if the Beast Wars movie happens. It's sad, but if Transformers 1 is a reboot, and maybe they can follow that on with a Beast Wars movie. Probably won't be set on an island, definitely won't be connected to World War II, but have seen the end on is the mythology. The 6 movie story is finished. We're not going to see Transformers 6. The Bumblebee sequel is probably going to be a reboot. Preferably they do it in the exact same style as Bumblebee and don't try to make it a reboot. Because if they do that and they make Transformers 1 the reboot, that would be the best case scenario. But I don't think they will. I think they're going to mess with the continuity further. That's why I'm excited for 1, because 1's a fresh reboot. But yeah, this is tragic and absolutely depressing to talk about, but I'm really happy and I feel really appreciative that we had these images to talk about. That we can even see what Operation Skyfire was going to be, and a potential glance at the Beast Wars movie. But yeah, that's all I have to say about it. Let me know down in the comment section below, what are your thoughts on Transformers Operation Skyfire? Were you interested in the idea of a World War II Transformers movie? What do you think of these characters? What do you think of Bumblebee's design? Do you think the blue character we saw earlier, the Autobot, is Chromia or Elita one? Who do you think that other yellow bot with the rifle was? Was I correct? Do you think that Decepticon was Astrotrain? Would Starscream have been in it? What kind of relic would they have been after? Was that Skull Island to do with the Maximals? Was Optimus Primal going to be in it like it looked like? Let me know everything you have down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. So yeah, longer video than usual, but I'm going to cut it here. If you made it this far, thank you so much. Please share this video around to anyone who might be interested. If you have any friends or anyone who might be interested. And if you like Transformers, I've done a few other Transformers videos, and I plan to do a myriad of others in the future when more news comes. So yeah, with that all said, thank you all for watching, and please subscribe. Novus Corvus out.